Welcome to another episode of Last Week's Comics Today. I am pretty confident that I will be interrupted at some point, but let's just get into it. I've got a stack of 12 books here. I believe there are 5 first issues, so we definitely have some conversations coming up. But we're going to start with Lonesome Hunters, The Wolf Child, issue 4. This is the end of the miniseries, and like I predicted, this is not the end of the overall story. There is some immediate foreshadowing once this starts. This, by the way, I love whenever the inside front cover is also an art page. Well done. There is this voiceover narration which foreshadows things that I don't think have happened yet. This right here. No. Yes. It was so long ago. So, one of the characters, I think I know who, is talking from a future point, but in a somewhat distant future. And that's not the end of it. I think there's more here, which seems to... Yes, it's talking about someone in the past tense. That's also not great. So, clearly more is planned. Hopefully it comes probably next year. Well, yes, since solicits for January are already out. I want this story to get somewhere. This, overall, The Wolf Child is not as good as the first Lonesome Hunters miniseries, but I am still interested in the characters and what ultimately is happening with the world, with specifically the Sword, with the other faction. So I'm interested, but I would like it to get somewhere more quickly than it's currently going. Black Hammer, The End, issue 3. This is really kicking things off. So, things have been somewhat slow the first 2 issues. Pieces were being put in place, and now dominoes are starting to fall. We have stuff happening on the farm, and by the end of this, like, people are upset, things are happening, that's going on. It's very interesting. The stage is set. I kind of think I know where this Hammer stuff is going, but we'll see. I'm very into it. I'm glad that the pace is picking up. This is great. I've loved Black Hammer for a long time. This is great. I want to see this through to the end, and then see whatever happens next, presumably with a new set of characters. I don't fully know, but even though this says the end, it's not the end of the overall Black Hammer universe, which I am grateful for. Once Upon a Time at the End of the World. This is issue 10, which is the end of an arc, the second arc. We get Nick Dragotta. Flash forward sequence. He will be drawing the third arc, but the current one, the Del Duca, has been illustrating. This is pretty tragic as far as what is going on. Oh man. I have no idea how this is going to wrap up in issue 3, but we get some of this going on this issue, and it's also some of that. It's very good. Once again, I have no idea where it's going, but I would really like to see it get there. There's a slight delay. I think this picks up back again in January, so there's a couple of months break, and then hopefully we get 5 months of issues until everything ramps up in issue 15. So I'm looking forward to it. We're Flavours, issue 2. I was a big fan of issue 1. This I don't think is quite as good. It's still great, still enjoying it. It's just, it spends a bit more time meandering than it does with the sort of intimate scenes that the first issue had with some of the personal stories, a bit of history. This has very interesting, and I believe it's likely accurate as far as chili production. It's very interesting, and there's a recipe in here, and it's well done. It's just, like I said, not quite as good as the first issue, but I very much want to see where this goes. I believe the final issue has been solicited, so this is a 5-issue series, and again November, December, January. So yes, if it's 5 issues, the final issue has been solicited for January, and I don't know. It doesn't seem like one of the characters has figured out the nature of the other by the end of this, but I guess we'll see. There's another recipe in here somewhere. I know I flipped through it once. There's a recipe. Yeah, it's still good, still very solid, just not quite as good as the first issue. But I'm very much still invested. I think this is probably getting pick of the week, but we'll see. Conan issue 4. I was a huge fan of issue 1, a little bit less so of issue 2. Issue 3 was back at that peak, and then issue 4 a little bit down again. So this series has some peaks and valleys in my estimation. There's one character in here that doesn't make it out that I think should have. Otherwise, it's a very solid issue. There's some weird supernatural, metaphysical stuff going on as Conan is drowning, and it's alright. It's alright. It's still very solid. It's still great Conan. It's head and shoulders above some of the other books that are on the stands. It's just that first issue set a very high bar. Anyway, I'm continuing to get this. The next arc, I think, has Belit. So I want to see where that goes. I want to see, as long as this creative team continues what they're doing, I'm on board. It's still very good, just not quite as good. Oh boy. Firepower, issue 28. So, a couple of months ago, Kirkman, I guess maybe a month and a half, Kirkman announced that issue 30 was going to be the end of the series. Issue 27 comes out, and I'm like, based on where all of these characters are and how much stuff needs to happen, I have no idea how he's going to get from here to there in only 3 issues. Now, I see, and I will literally never trust him again. He f***ing time-lapses the entire build-up to the final fight itself, and then even part of the post-climax conclusion. This is such bullshit. I question whether or not he actually knows how to end a series. He time-lapsed the end of Invincible, and I gave up, I think, on everything else I was reading. So I gave up on Oblivion Song, I gave up on Walking Dead, but I hear the ending of that was abrupt and filled with lies because he solicited future issues that were never going to get made. Like, does he know what he's doing? Is my question. He starts the series with this 155-page prelude. 155-page prelude. This is the first issue. There should be more than 2 years has gone by. And there's a general sense that things are moving, characters are being introduced, so all of that, everything gets abandoned. Every character except for the main family is just shoved to the side. To get this, sprint to the finish? Like, what the f*** is he doing? Seriously, what the f***? This is not, everything that he's spent all of this time building up towards, just f***ing shits on it. This is a pile of shit. This is worse than Hickman. So, two writers in the span of a month that I used to enjoy highly, that I used to respect, I can now not trust anymore. Hickman shit the bed with Ultimate Invasion. Kirkman has literally ruined his entire career, in my opinion, with this single issue. Which brings me to Void Rivals. I read this before Firepower. I had intended to say something very different. I have now canceled both titles from my pull list. I was interested, and now I I can never read an issue of Kirkman and think he knows what he's doing. He has a plan, because he clearly doesn't. We're into the final now. So all of these are first issues. I think I'm going to talk about these 4 all at once. Drive Like Hell is a bit different than the rest. So this is a first issue. Roughly what's happening here is a getaway driver for a couple of bank robbers steals a car that is possessed, I believe, by a demon from hell. If it's not possessed, if the car itself isn't possessed, then it's certainly an object owned by a demon from hell. And what results is a couple of car chases. Also, this woman that has been shot in the head starts talking. But, Firebird? If I remember correctly, it's not a Trans Am. And just multiple police car pileups. So, if you are a fan of, they mention at the back, Cannonball Run and Smokey and the Bandit, if you are a fan of those car chase, getaway, cop, movies, then grab this. It's fun. Look at how this ends. So this is one of the new demonic cars, and we've got this guy popping out over there, and then all of this is going on. So here's the kind of title car, and then like double, what's going on there, and like Bigfoot with the kind of scoop thing, and like all this is somebody's having a whole lot of fun making this. It is a Trans Am, not a Firebird. This is fun. I don't know if I'm getting the rest of it, but wow, these guys are having a whole lot of fun. So all of this, we've got Edenwood #1, we've got Blitmap #1, Prism, and Gone. I want to start with Prism. This, I was originally going to say Macross Plus, but I think it's Macross 7 that has the guy with the guitar. This certainly has an anime flair to it, and I think I recognize some of it because of this guy used to work on Skydoll. Anyway, the art is phenomenal. The story doesn't make a whole lot of sense. There is additional information in the solicitation text, but it's still not really helpful. Basically what's happening is there are these black tendrils in the water, and humanity is combating this. So all of this is going on. Humanity is combating this with music. I have no idea why the guitarist is launching himself from space. That doesn't make any sense to me at all, but that's what's happening. And there's a corporation that is going to send some sort of supergroup into space to make a CD, make a record, an album, make something. Make a set of songs to combat black tendrils. And if you read the solicitation text, you get a bit more information, like I said, than what is in the issue itself. Whether or not that's helpful, I don't know. But it sure is gorgeous to look at. So this... Hold on. Edenwood, alright? There's a couple of different ways you can start a new sci-fi fantasy thing. And one of those ways is to throw just a dictionary's worth of new words at the reader. Edenwood sort of takes that route, and Blitmap sort of does the same thing. A bunch of new nouns, and some of it is described. This is another one where reading the solicitation text gives you more information, although it gives you information about future issues as well, because some of what they describe isn't actually in this issue, but it will tell you more about what's happening than the issue itself does. But there are witches, and there's a forest, and if you go to the last page, it's more helpful to start at the end than the beginning. So there is this Edenwood that is taking over the American Midwest, and you can see how far it's gotten. It's sort of being pushed back around Chicago, but it's creeping up into Canada, and it's, I don't know, it involves witches somehow. Also, there's something called a gather, which is a monster, and there's some hunters, and weirdness related to time is going on, and there's like a group of friends that get separated, and then something predictable happens, and I won't be continuing. This is kind of a mess. More so than I want to get involved in. Blitmap also invents a bunch of words. It also looks gorgeous. It's very colorful. I may continue with this just because I like the art more so than the story, but we've got basically two factions that meet in the middle unexpectedly, and then one of them starts following the other. So some of what happens is the fault of somebody, and some of it is by chance. But anyway, there's talk of, there's here in the beginning, Metropolis repurposed from the husk of an ancient extraplanar vessel, which sounds a bit like Nowhere from Guardians of the Galaxy, but whatever. There's people that wear masks, and there's people that don't, and there's people with TV heads for heads, and it's weird. It's just a lot of weirdness, and there's this random thing about every cover is different. So this is my cover, and there's a key, and there's a QR code, and like, I don't know. It's fancy, and it feels kind of plasticky, and I don't fully whatever. But more effort should have been put into the story or character development. It's ultimately fine, but not great. So lastly, Gone, the last also new start of a series. This goes in sort of the opposite direction. So, like I was saying, one of the ways you could start a fantasy sci-fi thing is to throw a bunch of random words out at the reader. This takes the opposite stance, which is you treat language as if it's current language and just change the setting. So this is more like, I'm going to say, District 9. There's extreme poverty next to extreme sci-fi. And this is another case. This is actually, if you read the solicitation of text for this, it's actually a lie based on what happens in the book. Because it... let me get there. It's talking about Abby, our main character, who is 13, apparently. I thought she was older. She looks older. But she is going to break into one of these ships and steal some food and then get back out. So here's there's a slum there in the foreground, and then you pan up to this spaceport that's in the background there. The solicitation says that she stows away, which ultimately is what happens, but unintentionally. Like I said, she was trying to get in, steal some food, and get out. And this is much better than the others. It gets to know who the character is. There is story progression. I understand all of it. It's not a bunch of made-up words. It's well done. And of all of these, I'm most likely to continue reading Gone. It's character development. It's story. It's coherent, easy to follow. I wouldn't think these things are rocket science, but maybe they are. I don't know. Tony Daniel has done some writing, but this is, I think, his first Image title. It might be his first creator-owned thing. I read that he'd been working on it for years. I think it needed outside advice. Prism sure is pretty, but the story, what's happening makes zero sense. And this, similarly, I don't care about any of the characters, and the actions that they take also are ambiguous and vague, and I don't understand why I should care. Gone makes sense. She's starving, she has a mother and a baby on the way to feed, and she just wants food. Extremely straightforward. Also, looks great. So that's everything that I got this week. Those Kirkman books are staying on the floor. It's like a day and a half after I read them. I read those Wednesday night, and I was livid. I've cooled down a bit. I think I'm swearing less than I expected, but he's untrustworthy, ultimately, is what I'm trying to say, is I will possibly never read another book of his in my life, because that dude. Of these, I am giving Pick of the Week to, well, Black Hammer, possibly. Yes, Black Hammer gets Pick of the Week. You. I want to throw... I'm ditching all of Firepower that I have. Oh, I should mention, if you care about Transformers, there's a Quintesson that shows up in Void Rivals. Whatever. As always, I get all of my books from a local comic shop. If you don't know where yours is, you can use this URL to find the one closest to you. Thanks for watching.